Narcissistic love is abuse disguised as the greatest romance of your life. At the beginning, it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels like destiny, like finally being seen in a way no one ever has before. How do you explain a relationship that left you drained and confused, but still feels like the greatest love you've ever known? If this question sits quietly in your mind, this reflection is for you. In Anna's story, there's a point where she thinks, this is it. This is the kind of love I thought only existed in movies. Maybe you've had your own version of that moment. By the end of this video, you'll understand why it felt so powerful, why a part of you still misses it, and how to spot this pull early before you start rearranging your life around it. Because the beginning rarely looks like harm, it looks like connection. Long calls that stretch into the night. Private jokes no one else understands. The way they look at you as if the whole world goes quiet when you speak. They tell you, I've never felt this close to anyone before. It's like I've been waiting for you my whole life. I can't imagine my life without you. It doesn't feel casual. It feels sacred. Like the love that's meant to redeem every hurt that came before. From the outside, it might look like infatuation. From the inside, it feels like a turning point in your life. What you experienced as the deepest love of your life was in many ways the deepest aimed attention you've ever received. They didn't just show up, they customized themselves around you. A narcissist doesn't only listen for your favorite song or coffee order, they're listening for the openings in your story, the places you learn to stay easy, stay strong, stay fine, so no one leaves, and they build a key out of them. They don't think of this as, how can I protect this person? It's closer to, how can I make myself irreplaceable by fitting exactly into these cracks? So if you've always felt overlooked, they flood you with attention. If you've always felt like too much, they praise your intensity and call it magic. If you've always worried about being abandoned, they swear they'll never go anywhere. It doesn't feel calculated from your side. It feels like someone finally turning towards the parts of you thought would always be too complicated. It feels like those parts are finally allowed to exist, and then your body joins in. When the narcissist is love bombing you, life can feel like it's been turned up to maximum volume. Your phone lights up constantly. You're replaying conversations in your head. You're waiting for the next message, the next call, the next high. Inside, a lot is happening. Your body starts to respond before your mind can catch up. Your system starts to link them with comfort, being wanted, feeling special, finally belonging somewhere. Of course it feels deep. Of course it feels unforgettable. Of course it can feel like, I'll never find this again. Your body doesn't call this danger. It calls it bonding. The feelings are real. The impact on you is real. What wasn't real was the care behind the intensity. This is why later, you can know in your mind that it was abusive, manipulative, cruel, and still feel a quiet ache when you reminisce about the early days. You might find yourself missing the way they lit up when you spoke, the way you laughed together, the intensity of the eye contact, the late-night confessions, the sense of having your person. You might think you're just missing them, but often you're missing who you felt you were in those moments. Seen, significant, like a rare gem, impossible to replicate. You're also missing the story you were building together, the one where this finally felt like proof that you are enough, you are worthy, you are not too much. When that story collapses, it's not just the relationship that ends. A whole version of your future ends with it. Of course that hurts. Of course your body grieves. Of course, part of you wants to go back, even if you know it wasn't safe. That grief doesn't mean the love was healthy. It means your hope was real. Abusive relationships often feel deep because they dig into old places. They find your earliest hurts and wrap themselves around them. They offer rescue, and then become the very thing you need rescuing from. They create chaos, then position themselves as the only source of calm. They hurt you, then show up as the only one who can take that hurt away. In Anna's story, it looks like this. After constant messages and attention, David pulls the plug. One morning there's nothing, no good morning text, just a heavy silence that makes her stomach knot. She checks her phone over and over, wondering what she did wrong. Then, just as the anxiety peaks, David appears with a bouquet and a soft apology. "I've just been so busy. You've been on my mind all day." Her whole body exhales. Without realizing it, her system starts to learn. He is both the panic and the relief. That cycle with a narcissist carves the bond into you in a way that ordinary, gentle love never could. It's not because they were your soulmate, it's because they were constantly involved in both your pain and your comfort. That combination can feel like the deepest connection in the world. Healthy love usually has a very different texture. It might still be passionate, beautiful, alive, but underneath, there is room to breathe. Someone might surprise you with your favorite drink, or remember a book you mentioned once. The difference is in the pace and pressure. In healthy love, you can say, "This is beautiful, but I'd love to take things slowly," and they don't speed up to pull you in deeper. They don't need to be the only person in your world for the connection to feel real. A thoughtful weekend away feels like a gift, not a test of how devoted you are. With David, it's different. The gestures come in fast, one after another. The perfectly timed coffee, the songs, the notes, the surprise trip. Before she's had time to breathe, her days are already rearranging themselves around him. Friends fade into the background. Her free time becomes their time. On the surface, it looks like romance. Underneath, it's about absorption. Pulling her life into his orbit until choosing herself starts to feel like a kind of betrayal. When love and self-betrayal begin to blur, that's your system asking you to slow down, pay attention, and rethink the story you've been telling yourself about that relationship. Instead of believing this was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of love, it might be more accurate to say, "No one has ever wrapped themselves so tightly around my fears, my wounds, and my longing to be chosen." What felt like irreplaceable love was often irreplaceable access to your most vulnerable places. That doesn't make your feelings invalid. It explains why they're so strong. Now, I'd like to give you a few questions you can carry with you, not to distrust every kindness, but to gently check whether what you're calling deep love is really love or something else. You don't have to shut your heart. You don't have to treat every kindness like a trap, but you can start to ask, does this relationship make my world bigger? Or am I quietly dropping friends, hobbies, and routines because everything has to revolve around them? Do I feel more like myself over time? Or am I editing myself, my tone, my opinions, what I wear, so I don't upset them? Can I slow the pace down without fear? Or do I feel like I have to keep the magic going, reply fast, stay intense, and match their pace so they don't pull away? If those land a little sharply, that isn't a sign you've failed, it's a clue. It's the part of you that still knows the difference between being loved and being managed. And if you're listening to this thinking, "I see all of this now, and I still miss them," that reaction makes sense. Of course, part of you misses them. You're not just missing a person, you're missing the feelings they created. The rush of being chosen, the comfort of being understood, the story where, for a while, it felt like you'd found home. That ache doesn't mean they were your soulmate. It means your body still remembers what it felt like to be flooded with intensity, the kind they dared to call love. Longing is not proof that they were right for you. It's proof that you are capable of deep attachment. The very things that kept you there, your loyalty, your hope, your capacity to bond, are not shameful. They reveal how fully you show up when you believe in someone. In the wrong hands, that devotion was used. In the right hands, it will be honored. If Anna's story echoed parts of your own life as you listened, take this gently. You don't have to figure it all out at once. You don't have to force your heart to heal faster than it can. Simply saying to yourself, "It felt like the love of my life, because it wrapped itself around the most hurting parts of me," is already a different kind of truth. For now, If this felt uncomfortably familiar, just stay with yourself for a moment. Take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. What happened to you was not evidence that you should have known better. It was a revelation of how deeply you can love and how carelessly someone else was willing to handle that love. You were responding to something that was designed to feel like love, because it borrowed the language of devotion and the pace of a fairy tale. You deserved better then. You still do now. And there is a kind of love that won't require you to be shattered in order to feel real.